reality in the media. We all know Larry King, and we know Montel Williams, and we know Sylvia Browne, and we know that Sylvia Browne has appeared many, many times on Larry King and Montel Williams. Almost every Wednesday on Montel Williams at one time she was making her appearance. And Montel Williams was asked on a radio program some years ago whether or not he believed in psychics. And he said, no, I don't believe in psychics. I don't particularly believe in Sylvia Browne. Everyone said, but you feature her on your show every week. And he said, yes, on this radio program, we have it on record. He said, yes, but she brings me a lot of sponsors. This means, and this is the expression I will use, I ask you to pardon me in advance for it, but it's used in the media. Then he and Larry King are both known as media whores, because they'll do anything to get sponsors, anything. Whether it destroys the public's faith in them or in the station or in the products that they're advertising doesn't mean anything to them as long as they attract the sponsors. And the sponsors in turn don't care as long as they sell the products, whatever that product happens to be. So Montel Williams admits that Sylvia Browne, he knows, is a fake, and yet he's the one who makes all the excuses for her, or used to. Now, we just recently saw a Bigfoot hoax, for example. And the Bigfoot hoax, it struck a chord with me because I remember some 20 years or so ago in Monmouth County, New Jersey, I saw a similar Bigfoot frozen in a block of ice by exactly the same people who were purporting to have captured this particular Bigfoot and frozen him in a block of ice. Same people, probably the same ice for all I know. Maybe it thawed out every now and then, get some more ice, okay, freeze it up, there we go, we're on tour again. It looked like a huge old fur coat, very tattered underneath the ice, you could barely see it, but it looked like a fur coat. And that's exactly what this turned out to be, except it was a rubber monkey suit that was stuffed with animal parts, which is not quite as glamorous as a fur coat, I would say. But the media snapped it up. The media didn't. Now, somebody said to me earlier today, but why would the media believe such a thing? They didn't believe such a thing. But they used that because they could make money with it and get listeners and readers and such. They don't give a damn whether something is real or not, as long as it makes them money and brings them sponsors. Newspapers want readers because their advertising rates will depend directly on the number of readers that they have, subscribers and people who buy it at the newsstands. They just don't care one way or the other. But I have a very simple test of astrology, and I often conduct it at seminars when I appear at colleges and universities and whatnot. I go to the local newspaper, the current newspaper, and I open it up and I go to the page and I tear it out and I say, all right, how many folks here believe in astrology? Now usually I have set them up for this because I go to the faculty and I say, what's the current rage in paranormal stuff on campus? And they say, oh, everybody's going after astrology. Okay, I can use it then, you see. And so what I say is, how many here believe there's some validity to astrology? And the hands go up, you see, and I say, oh, well, I have here, let me see, are there any Sagittarians there? Some hands go, I say, Sagittarians, all of you stand up, please. And they stand up and I say, okay, I'm going to read Sagittarius for yesterday's newspaper. That'll apply for today. This is what should have happened today. And I read out the forecast, you see. I say, signify to me, how well does that agree with you? And usually, not everyone necessarily, but most of them. And in some cases, every one of them will say, oh, yes, that's bang on, right on. That's very, very accurate. I say, well, oh, wait a minute. No, that was Virgo. I'm sorry, I read the wrong one. Oh, I'm very sorry, that was Virgo. Okay, well, sit down, Sagittarius. Virgos, will you stand up? And they stand up sort of slowly because they figure they're being, and yes, I've got them again. And I say, Virgos, how many agree? Fewer hands go up this time out of the Virgos. And I say, oh, wait a minute. This is today's newspaper. That's the prediction for tomorrow. So I get them several times over. And do you think they learn anything from this? Now, I did a famous test on the NOVA program, which I appeared at Nova University. It has nothing to do with NOVA, but that's in Florida. And I appeared in front of a class of 40 kids on a Monday, and I told them, a psychology class, as a matter of fact. And I said, I don't care whether you believe in astrology or not, but give me your birth dates, each one of you with your names and such, and I will cast horoscopes for you, or I'll have them cast professionally, and I will give you sealed horoscopes tomorrow. Oh boy, and they all wrote out their names and then gave it to me. I went back to my computer and I typed out horoscopes and whatnot, brought them back the next day with the name on each one of the envelopes and with a red seal on it. I handed them out and I said, okay, now all of you open them up please and read the horoscope that you've been presented with there, and then I want to ask you to vote from 0 all the way up to 10, 10 being the highest score you can give it, right? So they all read them and they're all going, ooh, wow, oh, hey, and they're doing oohs and ahs and whatnot. So I think, okay, this could be pretty good. So I say, all right, how many voted 0? None of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, one hand went up. 9, two hands went up. 10, all the rest of the hands went up. I said, really? That's wonderful. Now, just hand your horoscope over your shoulder to the person in the back, and the person in the back come up and give it to the fellow at the front of the row. And they did that. I said, now read them again. You're reading somebody else's horoscope now. They were all identical. And the oohs and ahs that came out and said, wait a minute, this is the same. Oh, wait a minute. And then I pointed out to them the fact that 40% of what was written in that horoscope was for things that hadn't happened yet. How can they say 100% or 90% for something that hasn't happened yet? You will shortly be making a trip to a far-off location somewhere in the world where you've never been before or ever suspected you would go. They want that to be true, so they vote for it. Now, that was on the Nova show. And one fellow said, well, you haven't convinced me there's nothing to astrology. That was very welcome because it went on the Nova show, and he probably looked like some sort of a fool. I don't know, but I never ran into him again. I hope I don't.
What's the most common mistake a new paranormal investigator makes?
Watching TV.
Okay, how so?
All the paranormal shows on TV, there's one exception to this that I've seen, but all of them are complete crap. They all use confirmation bias all the way through.
What's the exception?
The exception is National Geographic's Is It Real? And if you've got Netflix, go back and watch it.
I think quite often...
7 people on that one.
I think quite often they don't realize what they don't know. They go in, they say, oh, I'm a skeptic, I've read some books, I've read Randy's books, and now I can be an investigator. And they also don't go in with a little bit of an open mind. And they basically what they're doing is they're doing exactly what the scientists did with me. They're going in with their own bias, and they don't know how to step away from that bias and really do proper investigation.
In my experience, the biggest problem that there's a handful of them, but one of the biggest ones is a lack of research. They just jump into cases cold, and for example, I'll see ghost hunters or ghost investigators who they'll go into a supposedly haunted location and they'll immediately turn off all the lights, which is weird to me. And then they'll walk around with cameras and they'll be hunting for ghosts. And I'll try to explain, well, what is the claim? You have to establish the claim. What is supposed to be happening here? And they'll completely forget that. They'll be like, oh, there's a claim? It's like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing instead of wandering around the place in the dark. And so they don't do the research, they don't do the background work on it, and so then they just sort of end up with this sort of weird investigation.
Well, now Ben has just made very evident the thing that I so admire about his approach, that is, prepare yourself. Ask the questions in advance and determine what's going to happen, and ask them to decide what the claim is that they're actually pursuing or investigating. So I congratulate you for that, Ben, as I have before. But my concern with this matter is the media itself. In general, the media doesn't give a damn whether what they present via television, in books, in radio, in any way, and in public meetings. They don't really care whether what they're presenting has any truth behind it or not, just as long as it sells sponsors goods. The bottom line is, will the sponsors be happy with it? And the sponsors will be happy if lots of people are tuned in. Lots of people are exposed to it in the magazines or newspapers or on television or radio. That's all the sponsor cares. They want their product to be named, and they want a lot of people to receive that name all at the same time. The media doesn't give a damn, and you've got to remember that. They're not going to be on your side if you're not going to offer them something in that direction, something that they could use commercially. So beware of the media. Their honesty is always to be questioned, to be doubted, not condemned and not refused if it's offered. But be very careful of Greeks bearing gifts, as they say.
They're going to apply, and it always starts out, I'm a skeptic, but I have this power.
Yeah, yeah. So the problem is that even if you go into investigation and say I'm doing this and I'm a skeptic, that means nothing. For example, the ghost hunter guys, the plumbers, they call themselves skeptics. Make of that what you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they are. They're also frauds. They know. Yeah, I said it. Sue me. Because we got proof that they are. Now the thing is that they actually don't believe a damn thing they see on that show, because they've admitted to us, Brian and I, the times when they have cheated. They know there's no ghosts out there, but they know damn well what sells to the advertisers too, or for the advertisers. So they're skeptics, sure, they're telling the truth there, unfortunately.
So these ghost hunters that we see on TV, are they doing paranormal investigations, or is it a misnomer?
Briefly,
No. Most of them.
No, most of those shows are scripted anyway. And I can tell you right now, a really easy way to see if a show is scripted, turn off the volume and just watch it. And you'll be amazed how quickly you can spot that it's all just acting. You can also see a lot of them have disclaimers at the end of the show. And often they are called a docu-soap, which means we read from a script. So no, they're not actually doing anything. Now, the TV-trained ghost hunter that tries to go out and emulate those shows, well, we're talking about the flexibility of language. To them, what they're doing is paranormal investigation. But to them, a skeptic means non-believer cynic. To us, that's not paranormal investigation, and skeptic means open-minded and willing to find the truth and doesn't take things at face value. So we're almost not speaking the same language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would just add that yeah, they're not doing investigation. They're not sort of doing any sort of investigation that I would recognize as investigation. Primarily because investigation, it means to investigate. It means to try and get to the bottom of or answer a question now.
Sometimes
this is not what
scaring
they're
yourself
doing.
to the point of wetting your pants is investigation.
What was that? What was that? Oh my God! Oh my God! That's not investigation. It's 52 minutes of mildly entertaining television in some cases. But the purpose of the actors or participants or whatever you want to call them, the purpose of the show is not to seek the truth. This is not a documentary. This is not someone trying to solve a mystery. These are people trying to fill an hour of entertainment. That's all they're doing.
and those disclaimers that scroll up and down the screen so fast at the end, if you slow it down, if you've got a TiVo facility in your TV, slow it down and read what they say there. They go so fast that you can't read them. The disclaimers are so comprehensive. They disclaim everything. They take no responsibility for anything whatsoever. They end up pretty well saying, none of this should be construed as being true. That's what it sums up to when you come right down to it.
For entertainment purposes only.
Yes,
Want
exactly.
some inside information on fact or faked? Their scientist, Bill Murphy, has never taken a science class in his life. He's a documentary maker. And we got stuck in one of his documentaries, so we know him quite well. He is not a scientist. He's about as far as you can get. Now, the thing is Brian and I made this little video. We were going to kind of make it a viral video for a possible TV show we were going to be on. And it had a planchette on a Ouija board move on its own. Well, they contacted us, fact or fake, they contacted us and they said, can you make another one of those where it moves a little more dramatically? Well, we were like, we don't know what you're talking about. How are we going to do that? We don't know what the spirits are going to do. We don't know when they're going to decide to move this. So we went ahead and we made another one that was kind of fun. And they said, well, we want it a little more dramatic because we need to give this to the team to deem real. And they said, we were like, well, we're not going to do that. And they said, well, we'll give you $1,500. Wow. to make this video for us so we can give it to the team so they can discover that it's real. There you go, there's your answer. That show is crap.